Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Ezra Levant here. How you doing? It's Monday, April 5th, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. on the West Coast, the best coast. Hi, everybody. As you know, every day at 12 noon, we have a live stream. Now, YouTube cut us off at the knees. They banned us from doing super chats. That's when viewers voluntarily give us a few bucks. It's like a tip, really. I called up our rep at YouTube. I said, what did we do wrong? Did we violate some term of service? Did we have a video that gave us a strike? They said no. It's just what they do. Some vague reference to the tone of our videos. In 15,000 videos in 6 years, we have never violated the terms of service. That's a fancy way of saying our contract with YouTube. They just decided to cut us off, which will cost us $400,000 a year. It's just their way of censoring conservative voices. I wonder if they're doing that on their own volition, YouTube owned by Google, a very left-wing company. Or I wonder if they're doing that at the request of either the Biden administration or the Trudeau government here in Canada. We don't know. That's the thing about corporate censorship, is it's done without notice, without appeal, without explanation. It's just done. And you just live with it, or you start your own internet. Well, we might do something like that. Of course, we can't start our own internet, but in the immediate term, we're getting around this demonetization problem by streaming in other forums. We're streaming on Rumble. What else have we set up? Have we set up Twitch or D Live or any of those? Or on Odyssey? We're on all those other channels. We haven't fully ramped up our multi-channel reaction, but we're getting there, and we've done a workaround on the tip side, the super chat side. If you go to the pinned comments, now is that up and at 'em there? Is that send a comment to? Is the live chat on our main channel right now? I'm just refreshing the page. Well, there it is. Thank you, Justin. I'm a bit of a technophobe. So if you see the pinned comment right in the top in the chat box, that takes you to our Streamlabs site, which is sort of a workaround. So you can still give us a super chat. It's just not a Google brand super chat. And actually the advantage is the Streamlabs does not keep 30%, which was the commission that YouTube charged. So actually, theoretically, we could do better on the super chats. Now, another cost of the demonetization is they've shut off our ads. All right, enough back around. I want to talk about an exhilarating, terrifying, motivating, inspirational, scary weekend all across this country. And we have news for you really from coast to coast. We have news from Vancouver. We have news from Calgary. We have news from Quebec City. We have news from Toronto. And the crazy thing about that, just saying it, is you might think that we're a large and mighty news organization. We're not. We're a small team. I think we still have a startup ethos. And we are nonetheless doing more coverage from a skeptical, critical, curious point of view than all the media party combined. You would think any journalist would be those adjectives: skeptical, curious, critical. No, they're not. They're cheerleaders. Let's start from Edmonton. It was Easter Sunday, which is a very holy day in the Christian calendar. And it's one of the days, for people who don't go to church regularly, going to church on Easter weekend. You know, there's Good Friday, there's Easter Sunday. I don't know the meaning of all the days, but it's like Christmas and Easter. Those are the two biggies. It's like for Jews who aren't particularly observant, there's the high holidays, they're called. That would include Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year, and Yom Kippur. So this is one of the biggies. And of course, people want to go to church. Now, the church for the secular government, of course, is the Church of Commerce. And they're spectacular churches. We call them shopping malls. Yorkdale Mall here in Toronto, which I believe is the largest mall in Canada by revenue. It's in the billions. This one mall, it's so large and it's so wealthy. They do more than $1 billion a year. I think it's like $2 billion a year. Did you know that? Like, they brag about how big it, like, it is a big mall. Do you think that church was shut down this weekend? Actually, maybe it was. Yeah, there we go. Is that Yorkdale? That's Yorkdale. So you see this Church of Commerce? Lots of people in there. I see some masks, it's true. Look at that parking lot. That is the Church of Commerce called Yorkdale. That place is busy. I don't know if I use the word packed, but that's Yorkdale. Look at that parking lot. The parking lot's packed. So that's cool by the government. And I'm not picking on Yorkdale. Name any mall you like. Walmart, Costco, any big box store. I'm not picking on them. They all are exempt. But churches, well, you can't go to a church that has more than, 15% capacity or whatever the rule is. The mall, sure, go and worship materialism, but you want to worship in a church on Easter Sunday, well, what are you, some kind of crackpot? So, as per usual, our chief reporter, Sheila Gunn-Reid, was out there at the Grace Life Church, just outside Edmonton, a lot of cop cars. And the craziest thing, you know, there's this wacko, they call themselves a church, they're a little bit more like a cult, they're called the Westboro Baptist Church. You ever heard of them? They do something, I don't understand it, and I actually think there's some mental illness involved. They, for years, would protest. Can you call up Westboro Baptist Church? B-O-R-O. They would send protesters to funerals, protesting against the deceased, protesting against the family. They would particularly protest against American soldiers, and they would have signs that said shocking things. Can you call up some of their visuals, like the most outrageous, like basically damning the dead, like, and you would say, what are you doing? Why are you obsessed with wrecking funerals for people? Like thank God for dead soldiers. Sin and shame, not pride. And then, like, just click on some more of these. America is doomed. God hates America. God hates fag enablers. What are you doing? Thank God for dead. Like, imagine you thank God for 9/11. God is America's terror. I think these folks, at best, you can call them a cult. Thank you. At best, you can call them a cult. I think there's some mental illness. The crazy thing is, if my memory serves me right, the founder, he was actually, he's a white guy, but he was actually, I think, a real civil rights activist for black equality in like the 60s or 70s. Maybe I'm misremembering. But something snapped in his head or something, because he's gone insane. So, like, imagine someone's worst day, the funeral of their father, brother, husband, son, whatever. And you go and there's these crackpots there with signs like that. Who protests at a funeral? Well, the Westboro Baptist Church. Well, imagine it's Easter Sunday and you go to protest outside a church on Easter Sunday. Are you crazy? No, you're a liberal. Same thing. What would Jesus do? Hang out in a cohort of 12. Jesus would say, spread kindness, not COVID. These were actual people. I'm not sure if they were with the Westboro Baptist Church. I think they might have been with the NDP. They were protesting at the side of a road on Easter Sunday at the Grace Life Church in Edmonton. Are you insane? You're protesting at a church on Easter Sunday. Would you protest at a synagogue on Yom Kippur? Would you protest at a mosque on Ramadan? But it's not just that. Can you go to the, I think it was the Global News or City TV, They praised these protesters. Like normally the media outdo themselves condemning Westboro Baptist Church kooks. But in Edmonton, the media, I think it was Laura Krause, another packed parking lot at Grace Life Church this Easter Sunday. This time, 2 anonymous people are peacefully protesting, saying they disagree with the church holding packed services. So at the very least, they're treated neutrally, not like the Westboro Baptist Church kooks that they are. She's with City News Edmonton. So that shows you what the other media thinks. We, of course, were interested in civil liberties and ending the paranoia, the mania, the phobia that has gripped this country in the name of a pandemic. So we were there in Edmonton with Sheila, and we had Mocha, one of our young reporters, our chief videographer. He was in Quebec City, which is a beautiful city. And again, we're just stretching our legs in Quebec. We haven't spent a lot of time there, mainly because of language differences. I mean, we speak English. We don't really have French skills, and most of our viewers, 99% of our viewers speak English. I would imagine it's probably 100%. So Mocha, and in past weekends, Sydney and Lincoln and Yankee have been out in force in Montreal. So Mocha went up to Quebec City, and we've got, how much do we have? A cold open or like a minute or two? Okay, so I hear from Justin that this is still being edited. This is not the final version, but it's just give you a sample of what Mocha's got coming out. Let's play a couple minutes of this. Here's Mocha this weekend in Quebec City.
I'm here to protest against the actions of our government. We need to go outside. We need to protect people who are needed to be protected. But we have to live and to live out and to be able to work and to be able to meet all together.
They close us 24 hours before anything, no warrant to say, okay, we close the restaurant and everything. They spend so much money to this Easter weekend, and now I have a lot of friends, I have a restaurant, and now they cry because they cannot afford it, and now they sell it like under the price that they pay because they have too much food to spend.
That's very sad.
That's not okay.
We are in lack of love these times, and there's a lot of fear going around, and a lot of fear propagated on the media and everything. So we try to counterfeit that.
Un moment d'attention. Voici une demande de collaboration pour le déroulement de votre manifestation. Au nom du service de police de la Ville de Québec, je vous informe que si votre intention est de prendre part à la manifestation, sachez qu'en vertu du décret 10-20-2020 du gouvernement, vous devez obligatoirement porter le masque et garder une distance minimale de 2 mètres.
It's interesting. It's visually and orally, audio-wise, interesting. I look forward to Mocha's commentary being added to it. That's just some clips that we're working on right now. I think that Mocha got out of there without being arrested or ticketed, which I was worried about because that's how he and the rest of our team were treated in Montreal. They were arrested. In fact, Efron was actually handcuffed, which I cannot tell you how angry that makes me. Mocha tells me that people come up to him on the street in Quebec City, Ville de Quebec, and thank him and shout out to Rebel News. And in fact, every morning at 10 a.m. we have a staff meeting in person, plus our team around the country joins us via Skype. So Mocha was walking on the streets of Quebec City while talking to us, and he said even, I think if I heard him right, even on that walk, 2 people came up to him. To me, that's interesting because how can it be that a English language YouTube channel based in Toronto that really hasn't had a footprint in Quebec is suddenly so recognizable, and Mocha, who is fairly new to being on camera, is so recognizable that people came up to him and thanked him. That is, I find that very incredible because we're so new to Quebec. We've only been covering them for a month or so. Is that right, Justin? Like not much more than a month. I don't think like Yankee, who's based out there, he goes out and covers the curfew a little bit at night, but his main job is not an on-camera reporter. I think our work in Quebec is 1 month old, like or maybe 6 weeks, whatever. So to be so well known and positively known and well received that Mocha, and I say I love Mocha, he's one of my favorite guys, and he has a unique look, but he's not as well known as, say, Sheila Gunn-Reid or David Menzies or even myself. I mean, the 3 names I've just mentioned have done literally thousands of videos. I think Mocha's done maybe 10, right? Like he hasn't done much more than that. Now he is quite an interesting and memorable look. But for people to come up to him, doesn't that tell you something about the demand for, what's our motto? Telling the other side of the story. If in a foreign language, not foreign, it's one of Canada's languages, but foreign to us, we're not native speakers. If in a different language, in a different province where we've never done things on the ground, where we're not well known, where we don't have a long track record, if so quickly we become heroes of the people, why is that? And that's what they're saying to us. They're cheering us, they're thanking us, they're giving us shout outs. It's their words, not mine. It's because we're telling the other side of the story. And I don't know if you saw, can you grab that? Remember when Mocha did his show with me on Friday? There was that part where he talked about the cops. And he played you know what I'm talking about? Where the cops said, the other networks don't ask critical questions. Remember we discussed that? And then Mocha added that clip. So that's a little project. Sorry, Justin, I'm throwing that at you. But when we talked about that on Friday, Mocha actually then added that clip. Folks, let me tell you what I'm talking about. Just talking to Justin there for a second. When we were in Montreal, our style is to ask questions and not bend the knee. And if some cop's going to give us a ticket, take the ticket. I'm not scared of a ticket. We'll fight the fine. I just got an update from Victoria, our in-house counsel. We're now representing 607 people for tickets. You think I'm afraid of ticket number 608 or ticket number 609? I'm not afraid. We're going to fight them. So we're not afraid, and we're going to take the tickets. We're going to fight them. And that's not going to, more importantly, that's not going to deter us from our work, which is telling the other side of the story, following the facts wherever they lead. So there was this moment, and Justin's just getting right now, where he and our team were out on the streets, and they were not being submissive. They were not being subordinate. They were not being deferential. They were not being rude or aggressive, but they were just doing their job. And a cop said, "Hey, why aren't you like the other media?" I'll let you hear it in his own words. Here's a clip.
Then he says, "Oh, in your paper, your workplace is in Toronto, and here you are in Montreal." And we're like, "This is our workplace. We
You go where the news is.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, well, I beg to differ. How come other media is not doing it?
Hey there. Yep. And also this as well. I'm just gonna get my ID and my.
How about you close your phone and you?
I'm sorry. This is our job. Sorry.
We have to. Like, you're not obligated.
Sorry.
There's no legal obligation.
I'm being paid to do this as a journalist.
You have to record everything.
Can you hold this for a second?
Yes.
So what are you doing outside? What are you doing outside?
We're looking for police interactions
No, you're
with
not.
the citizens.
Because it says here that under the law, you're allowed only to go from your home to your place of work.
Yeah, this is our work. We are.
I would beg to differ.
In what sense? We're here to
I don't
record
see
how the
people from
curfew is.
CBC or RT or CTV outside.
That doesn't matter. We choose to go out.
No, but that doesn't say. I mean, I'm not saying you can choose to go out, but it says here that you're only obligated. You're only allowed to go from your house to your place of work.
To me, that's. Did you hear him make a reference? I think. Could you hear him say CTV? Did you hear that? And I think there was some other media outlet. Did you catch it? CBC and CTV. So he's saying, no, CBC and CTV don't do that. Why aren't you like them? What are you guys doing out here? Why? And did you hear before that? Guys, you're not obligated to film us. And then I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Mocha or Lincoln or Sydney said, we record everything. What are you doing? They said. And it's true. One of our standing orders for the team is don't ever turn off the camera. Better to have something you don't need and just cut it in the editing process than to not have something you do need. Those are the two possible errors. Have the camera on when you don't need it. Don't have the camera on when you do need it. There is never an instance where a cop can say turn off that camera that it's valid. The only place would be, the only thing I could imagine would be in an intimate place where you have an expectation of privacy like a bathroom or a locker room. Other than that, I can't think of any instance where a cop saying turn off the camera would be legally valid. Can you? I'm just trying to think. So when the cops say, oh, you guys don't have to have your cameras on. What are you, some sort of lawyer or something? Someone important? Something? Now I'm quoting Jay-Z. You know? Yeah, if a cop says turn off the camera, I know I better keep that camera on. Just remember when you and me went to Tim Hortons to talk to the CEO and he said turn off the camera, and then you just did something to make some snapping sound. You closed the viewfinder. You closed the viewfinder to make it sound, but you kept recording. That's rule number one in journalism. Keep recording. In fact, the interesting stuff happens when they think you're not recording. So the police in Montreal are used to well-trained lapdogs, not disobedient watchdogs. And I love that language. You're not obligated to film us. We know. Yeah, thanks, guy. Thanks, officer. We know we're not obligated, but we have the right to do so. So we've shown you a little bit from Edmonton. We've shown you a little bit from Quebec City. Shown you a little bit from Montreal. I'm going to wind up in Calgary. We got some super chats. I know that. I'm going to come to the super chats, but I want to show you. Now, this is not our footage, but this is footage we found on the net. BC, which has had a lighter touch at lockdowns than Ontario and Quebec. By the way, I discovered that in addition to writing an autobiography during this crisis, a book about how awesome she is, Dina Hinshaw, Bonnie Crombie, pardon me. Bonnie, what's her name? No, Dina Hinshaw is in Alberta. Bonnie Henry. So, you know what? I don't want to get to know all these fake public health celebrities. Bonnie Henry. So I was mixing up different Bonnies and Dinas. So Bonnie Henry is the public health tyrant in British Columbia, and I use the word tyrant in the Latin sense of the term. She found time during the last year to write a book about how awesome she is. I just learned that one of the things she didn't lock down was wineries and wine tasting. You might be saying, hang on, you're locking down restaurants, you're locking down bars, you're locking down churches, but you're not locking down wine tastings at wineries. That seems like an awfully weird exception. Oh, you're an investor in a winery in the BC interior. Got it. That corruption is ubiquitous. Anyway, so Bonnie Henry brought in some lockdowns for a restaurant, and apparently this restaurant, I think it's called the Corduroy or something. So the little inspector came in, and the crowd wasn't having any of it. Take a listen to this.
Why you guys come to disturb a business? Why do you guys come to save people's lives?
Oh, I love that. I don't think those are activists. I don't think those are radicals. I think those are just normal people who are sick of the BS and know they didn't qualify for the Bonnie Henry wine tasting exemption, and the health inspector, get out, get out, get out. No swearing, no threats of violence, just showing those little tyrants they do not have the consent of the governed. I thought that was beautiful, just beautiful. So we showed you Quebec City, we showed you Montreal, we showed you Yorkdale Mall in Toronto, biggest mall in Canada. We showed you Get Out. But I haven't shown you the masterpiece yet. Arthur Pawlowski's video. Arthur, a pastor in Calgary, who you may know because he is a client of our FightTheFines.com project. And he was our very first case. We've taken, I think, 607 cases. He was case number 1. He was arrested a year ago for feeding the homeless in Calgary. They gave him a $1,200 ticket. They said it was an illegal gathering. He's feeding the homeless. So yes, I guess they gathered to get food. And the cops came and physically pushed his people and ticketed him. So we took that case. That was the first of 607 cases. Anyhow, when we lawyered up for him, the prosecutors dropped that fine. They didn't want to go to court and explain to a judge why they were giving $1,200 fines to pastors feeding the homeless. By the way, they gave him a dozen more fines in December. We're representing him on those too. I want to show you approximately a 2-minute video by Arthur. We'll talk about it for a minute. Then I am going to read the super chats. And then we're going to come back and do a deep dive through Arthur's video, which I think is so interesting and so instructive. So let me show you this video, posted to Facebook by Arthur himself. I find this absolutely riveting, and I know that millions of others do too. Different versions of this have been uploaded to Twitter alone, and the version I tweeted had, just my own tweet had more than 2 million impressions on it. I would imagine all the different versions that people uploaded on Twitter alone probably had 20 or 30 million views. And on Facebook and Instagram, and I think this video was seen at least 20 million times over the weekend. Here, take a look.
Please get out. Get out of this property. Immediately get out. Okay. Get out of this property immediately. Out. I don't want to hear anything. Out of this property immediately. I don't want to hear a word. Out. Out. Out of this property immediately until you come back with a warrant. Out. 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 Out of this property. Immediately out. Immediately go out and don't come back. I don't want to talk to you. Not a word. Out of this out of this property. Immediately out. I don't care what you have to say. Out. Out. Out of this property, you nutties. Out. Out. Gestapo is not allowed here. Immediately, Gestapo is not allowed. Out. Do you understand English? Get out of this property. Go. So go. Go! And don't come back without a warrant. Out, Nazi. Out! Out! You understand? Nazis are not welcome here. Out. And don't come back without a warrant. Do not come back without a warrant. You understand that? You're not welcome here. Nazis are not welcome here. Gestapo is not welcome here. Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths. Unbelievable, sick, evil people. Intimidating people in a church during the Passover. You Gestapo, Nazi, communists, fascists. Don't you dare coming back here. Can you imagine those psychopaths? Passover, the holiest Christian festival in a year, and they're coming to intimidate Christians during the holiest festival? Unbelievable. What is wrong with those sick psychopaths? It's beyond me.
Holy moly. What do you think of that, Justin? I think that's incredible. I'm going to have to watch that again and count the number of times he says out. I counted, he said Nazi 6 times, he said this Gestapo 4 times, communist once, fascist once, and psychopath 3 times. That's a total of 10, 15 descriptors. What impresses me, and of course he's a man in the cloth, is that he didn't swear. Because boy, all the swear angels would be whispering so many swears into my ears if I were that adrenalized. If I were that, like his heart must have been pounding, right? I mean, imagine staring down, was there 6 of them there? I think there was 1 Calgary Police Service, 2 sheriffs, I think, or maybe 3. There was the 1 Alberta Health Services, and then there was 2 plainclothes detectives, I understand they are. So that's a total of 6. I'm not sure how many had guns. I don't know if the sheriffs had guns. The cop had a gun. Imagine bringing a gun into a church. Why? This guy did? Okay, so that's a sheriff. That's what they call that, a peace officer in Alberta. There's sort of different levels of cops. Like a security guard is a low level. That's not a real cop, right? A security guard is just, anyone can be a security guard. A prison guard is higher, but a prison guard's not yet a cop. There's different levels, right? So Calgary Police Service, a peace officer in Alberta can be a sheriff, can be like a wildlife and game, like a fish and wildlife officer with a gun. I think that they went in extremely heavy-handed. I'm going to watch that again and count how many times he says out. Because it's got to be 30, right? And the thing is, if you don't have a warrant and you're on private property and you're told to leave, you got to leave. And we know that from from our own experience. When we go on property that's open to the public and they say get out, you have to get out for any reason or no reason, even if you were invited on. And if you don't, then you're violating the Trespass to Property Act. Now, our rule of thumb is go, but don't run out. You'll walk out, but you have to go. Those cops took 2 slow minutes to leave. And again, one more thing I'd like to praise Arthur for is he didn't touch anyone. He didn't push anyone, although I think he would have been lawfully allowed to do so. Just like security guards, if you don't leave a restaurant, leave a bar, leave a mall, they can push you out. Reasonable force, nothing more. But it would be a terrible idea to put hands on an armed cop, wouldn't it? That would just be a really bad idea, because a cop will kill you. Let's be honest. You don't need to. His moral authority and his moral confidence was enough to do the job. Just incredible. That was seen millions of times over the weekend. So much so that the Calgary police put out a statement just packed with lies. It's funny because only the Sun chain has reported on that in the mainstream media. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe in the last hour other media have caught up with it. It was the largest story in Canada over the weekend. TMZ covered it. You know that? TMZ in LA. They cover celebrity stuff, but they thought this was so riveting, they covered it. So many American networks, Australian, UK. I saw senior, for example, just for an anecdote, my own tweet on the subject was retweeted by Marco Rubio's chief of staff. You know Marco Rubio, he's the senator from Florida. That's a bit of a big deal. I saw Trump administration alumni retweeting it. I saw senior journalists. I saw senior, political, it was the talk of America. There was also police in Britain who were even worse. So Britain had its own version of this. You know that one where the cops literally went into the church and said, everybody, you have to go home? I don't know if you know that one. Darren Grimes tweeted that one. If you type police church UK, you'll find it pretty quickly. It was huge news. Super viral video. And yet, other than the Sun, I have not seen any mainstream media in Canada cover it. Maybe they've caught up in the last hour, but just none. Here's the UK version of the same thing. Oh my God, this will make you even madder. Take a look.
So please explain us.
Ladies and gentlemen, this gathering is unfortunately unlawful under the coronavirus regulations we have currently. You are not allowed to meet inside with this many people under law. At this moment in time, you need to go home. Failure to comply with this direction to leave and go to your home address ultimately could lead you to be fined £200, or if you fail to give your details, to you being arrested. I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, though it is Good Friday and I appreciate you would like to worship, that this gathering is unlawful, so please may you leave.
So please explain us.
Ladies and gentlemen, this gathering...
Now, some people are poor, some people are rich, some people are in between. Put aside for a minute the atrocity of police literally commandeering the microphone in the middle of an Easter service and spouting the lies, the unconstitutional, illegal statements. Put aside the atrocity you just witnessed. And that was a Polish church too, by the way. Arthur Pawlowski's Polish. You know what? The Poles believe in freedom. The Poles have saved the world so many times. Pope John Paul II, I believe, was the seed crystal around which so many other crystals formed that caused, in addition to what Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan did, Pope John Paul II, who was Polish, I believe that his courage helped bring down the Soviet Union. But if you go back to 1683, do you know your history, Siege of Vienna? It was the Poles that broke the Siege of Vienna and kept the West free. So many times in history, the Poles have saved the world. Maybe it's their destiny, which is maybe why they're hated by authoritarians. You know that restaurant in the UK where we saw, that was a Polish family in there too. There's something about the Poles. They fight for freedom. There's a stubbornness there. I mean, have you ever met anyone as stubborn as Arthur Pawlowski? Like, I like to think that I can be, make me stubborn, but what Arthur showed in Calgary was Yoda level. That wasn't just ninja. That was like, you're the Yoda of, like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Just incredible. But back to what we just saw there in the UK, they're picking on the Polish church. Put aside the atrocity of what those police did, put aside the atrocity of the laws that were frankly improperly implemented there anyways. Did you hear what he said? He said, what was the ticket? He said £200, is that what he said? Was it 200 or 250? So, yeah, you were doing, I think it was either 200 or 250. So a pound is like $1.70, if I'm not mistaken. So in Canadian dollars, and again, I'll just check it right now, pound to Canadian dollar. Yeah, $1.74. So that's exactly $350 fine. And that's not nothing $350 is not nothing. You can buy a lot of groceries that could fill up your car's gas tank a bunch of times. That's a chunk of rent. $350, you can do a lot of things with $350, but don't tell me that $350 is going to put you into the poorhouse. It's going to destroy your, like some of these COVID tickets you see out there, $14,000, $5,000, that's enough to destroy a family. That's enough to make you miss rent. That's enough to cause a significant schism in your own household. You know, the number one reason men and women fight, I think, is money. Maybe that's not the number one, but certainly a big one. I don't think there was anyone in that church that, and I'm not saying they should pay it. I'm not saying it's good to pay it. I'm not saying it's right. But if the only thing they're saying is, get out now or you pay $350, I don't know how that story ended. But I'd say, all right, I'll take your stupid $350 fine, £200 fine. Now get out of here, you little, well, to quote Arthur, Nazi, fascist, psychopath, communist. Those are powerful words. Yeah, I mean, oh, that's what you got? You little, you know, what are those funny British police shows? Hot Fuzz, you know? I mean, that's all you got. You don't even have a gun. They don't even trust you to have a gun. You just, you know, oh my God. Anyhow, like I say, we've covered so many different places: Quebec, Montreal, Edmonton, BC, Calgary, and now London. I want to go to the super chats. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. It's just so interesting seeing these things. Now, have you been sending them to me? Yeah, there we are. Oh boy, we got a lot. Bruce B donated $2. They are rebel chats now. Super chats are a thing of the past. You're very right, Bruce. Thank you. They shall not pass donated $8. Happier to super chat now that UGrift isn't keeping 30%. Maximum COVID fear being wrapped up here in BC. Classes being canceled at all levels due to positive tests and contact tracing. Hysterical parents begging for more. BC schools shut down soon. Boy, you know what? I'm not in a position to dispute what you're saying, but we have a great reporter on the ground out there, Drea Humphrey, who's just doing wonderful work. So I'm so proud. She's one of the great things that happened to Rebel News in 2020. She joined our team. And she's been very strong at covering the lockdowns, hasn't she? Michael Lefebvre, $10. You should not be calling it a workaround. You are treading on thin ice, Ezra. Unfortunately, your days are numbered on LeftTube. I don't disagree with that. I think they will kill us one day. We are working on alternative solutions. In fact, we had a great meeting. I can't give you any details, but we had a great meeting with a YouTube competitor successor that's still in development. And when the appropriate time comes, I'll tell you about them. Very exciting. So we do have a plan B that we're using now, and we have a plan C in the works. Annalisa S. donated $10. I'm so proud of the pastor in Calgary. The video is going worldwide. Keep up the great work, Rebel. Thanks. Well, that's our buddy Art. He was our very first Fight the Flying's client. DevNet donated $4. One can only imagine how Rob Ford would have handled the pandemic and lockdowns. Now more than ever, we realize what a great loss for Toronto and Ontario his passing was. Yeah, because he had a real touch. I think Ralph Klein would have been the same way, and maybe even Mike Harris. Michael donated $10. Thanks so much for your work during this pandemic. So glad I caught your live stream. Well, that's nice of you. I do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sheila and David do it Tuesday, Thursday. Carol Lyons donated $4. Hey Ezra, I checked my Rumble account and couldn't find the Rebel live stream. Do you have a specific link? Love Rebel, keep up the good work. Shout out to Justin! Well, there you go. Justin, do you have any advice on the... Okay, so Justin's going to go to Rumble right now and show everyone how to do it. So is that just rumble.com there? Yeah? And you click live at the top, and there we are. Well, thanks. So you go to rumble.com, you click live, and then you click it, and then... Yeah, just click it. What happens? Yeah, there's me. There's me. Okay, good. Thanks, Justin. Well, that looks fairly easy, right? You just have to click that live button. And maybe we can post that link in the chats if someone can do that. If they're, Justin says he believes it is. Bracketer donated $5. I saw a CBC video claiming more young people are dying of COVID. With one man as a case in point, they're claiming he was perfectly healthy. The guy was morbidly obese. I grew up on the CBC. I used to think of them as credible. Were they always this bad? I think all media has gotten worse under Justin Trudeau. I think wokeism, cancel culture, and groupthink have particularly infected the media. That's been exacerbated by the fact that non-TV, non-radio media have been colonized by Trudeau through his newspaper bailout. So I think it's worse than ever. Commie Canada donated $2. I expect that Justin will be using his upcoming majority to pass more draconian legislation. It's clear that the government doesn't want rebel news around. Well, you're not just daydreaming. This very morning, I saw an article in our clippings, in our Rebel Buzz, to this effect: Stephen Guilbeault wants to censor 5 things on the internet that he doesn't like. And I don't know if you could find that story from Rebel Buzz. One of the 5 things in the story was just made me laugh so hard. Stephen Guilbeault, being the Heritage Minister, convicted criminal, by the way. He actually committed a real crime, but now he wants to criminalize criticism of him. If you can find that, or if, you know what, let me know and I can dig it up from our morning email that Jason sends us, because I read it and I thought, oh my God, they're not, it's just so pathetic. But it's just a fig leaf. I mean, people have always criticized politicians. They always have. They always will. Yes, that's it. Now, can you really pump that up? Yeah, thank you. This is exactly online threats and hate speech against politicians is mounting, officials say. Now, scroll down a little bit here. Okay. Online hate and politics are clashing with increasing frequency as pandemic stress mounts. Just one example is Quebec politician Christine St. Pierre, who received an avalanche of insults, the poor dear, after she posted online that she received a COVID-19 vaccine. She was called crazy, a liar, dangerous to others. Some commented about her hair, while others offered sarcastic condolences. Those are the worst, sarcastic condolences. Now let me just stop and say, all those things sound not nice, but that's what you got? Someone was sarcastic, and someone said they didn't like me. Censor the internet. There was more there, don't worry about it, but that was quite an article. They talked about her hair. You know what? We all got problems, sister. We all got hair problems during the pandemic, sister. Oh, my God. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. More censorship is coming. And I swear to you, on the altar of God, we will fight it legally, politically, journalistically, and with whatever strength we have. That's my promise. Commie Canada donated $2. I just read that one. Alex Daviduke, how you doing, Alex? Thanks very much. Donated $5 to Super Chat. I cannot figure out how to set up the Streamlabs Super Chat function. Want to donate without 30% going to YouTube. Many of us are not techie. You know what? Okay, let's go through it one more time. Yeah, Justin will show you how. So you see in the top right there is Streamlabs. So you click on that, and it takes you to Streamlabs. And then right at the top, you just, is that your name? And then you put in, let's say, $5. And you click on, your message. You type your message, and then you click on that button. But you have to register. Oh, that's right. And then you just put your PayPal or your credit card in there. And I think that, and then you're done. That's it. Yeah, so just keep hitting yes till it's done. So I think that looks for, now I have to admit I haven't done it myself, but I've observed others doing it. I think that looks easy enough. I'm sorry for the hassle, Alex. Chris Rock donated $5. Ezra, Alberta oilfield companies are mandating wearing RFIDs, tracking devices, calling them bus passes, and saying it's for COVID contact tracing. They gave Africans RFID chips as digital slavery over 10 years ago. Wake up, Canada. Randy Hillier is right. Okay, I don't know about the things you're referring to. I forget what RFID stands for. Radio frequency, is that what that means or something? I'm sorry, I just don't know what you mean. Oric donated $3. That's how. Smarten up. Okay, thanks. Not Flying Dutchman donated $4. I wonder if the pastor could have insisted the police charge the AHS inspector for interrupting a church service and possibly trespassing after she refused to leave and continued to shoot off her mouth. Thank you. I meant to say that. Now, I've shown you this before, but why don't we show it again? Section 176.2 of the Criminal Code, and I just know that by heart because I refer to it every week. Section 176.2 of the Criminal Code. So this is a crime. It's not like a parking ticket or a you didn't wear a mask ticket. Those are tickets. Those aren't crimes. But Section 176.2 protects a religious gathering. Let me read the language there. Everyone who willfully disturbs or interrupts an assemblage of persons met for religious worship or for a moral, social, or benevolent purpose is guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction. 3, everyone who, at or near a meeting referred to in subsection 2, willfully does anything that disturbs the order or solemnity of the meeting is guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction. So, if you interrupt or disturb a church service, it doesn't even actually have to be a church service. It's just an assemblage of persons. That means people gathered together for a moral, social, or benevolent purpose. So I think theoretically, if you were at a soup kitchen, right? That's an assembly of persons met for a benevolent purpose. I think this would, I don't know the case law here. I don't know how often this is used. I just don't think we've had a problem in Canada with people busting up churches. That's so un-Canadian. But now the cops do it every weekend. Absolutely, they should be prosecuted. And yeah, the Trespass Act probably applies too. Ronald Coate donated $2 through Super Chat. Thank you. Terrence Hollowatty donated $5 through Super Chat. We all love you here in Alberta, Ezra. Keep up the good work. Well, thanks very much. C182 OPR donated $4. Canada needs a Lech Walesa. Well, maybe you got him, eh? Maybe you got him in Arthur Pavlovsky. Alex Dave Duke again, thank you. $5 to Super Chat. Can't get Rebel News paywall show since leaving Roku. Why don't you have tutorial videos how to set up on TV and Streamlabs? I am not a techie. I hear you, Alex, and I know we've changed our system about a year ago, and I know it's knocked us off of Roku. I don't have an answer for you right now because I'm not a techie either, but maybe we can show Eitan this conversation and this question, and maybe he can write to you directly, Alex. If you flip this to Eitan, maybe he can write to Alex directly, and maybe we can do a little tutorial video. Bunny Hop donated $10. Bonnie Henry was also spotted without a mask taking a private helicopter to Victoria after she canceled the extra ferry sailings to the island. I saw that. She canceled the ferry, but because she's making high six figures, she'll take a helicopter. That is luxury travel. You see, lockdowns are for the little people, not for the fancy pants. Well, it's 12:53, and we've gone through some very interesting things. I want to show you one more thing. And again, I got no beef with IKEA or Walmart or Costco or Yorkdale. Yorkdale Mall, the largest mall in Canada, is actually not very far from our office. And I haven't been there since the pandemic, to be candid. But it's a good mall. I got no beef with that. I've been to their Apple store. That's where we got some of our computers. Why do they get to be open but mom and pop shops don't? I don't understand that. And here's IKEA. I got no beef. I got no beef. Other than, look at that. Look at that. Why is that fine, but you can't go to church? Look at that. And by the way, those people obviously who are lined up that way obviously don't believe the pandemic is real. Just like the folks in that pub in Vancouver obviously don't believe it's real. You know, we're at the point, and this analogy has been made for a long time, but it's like when you have Leonardo DiCaprio on his yacht and private jet worried about global warming, you know he doesn't mean it. And when you have 100 people in line for an IKEA, you know they don't worry about it. When you got thousands of people at Yorkdale Mall, you know they're not really worried about it. And there's this great interview that our lads did in Montreal where there was these two youngsters wearing masks. And I think it was Lincoln who was asking them, how do you feel about masks? If you didn't have to wear the mask, would you? They're sort of maskers, but they said the second they were allowed to not wear it, they wouldn't wear it anymore because they're just wearing it because they're worried about the $1,500 fine. No one's actually worried about, certainly not young people. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. This is a tweet from Nate Silver. Nate Silver, in case you don't know, he's a liberal. He's a statistician. He's a pretty smart guy. He definitely has Democrat leanings, but I think he genuinely tries to be a numbers guy. I respect him. After the 2016 election, where they blew it in predicting Trump's win, he was one of the few guys who said, what did we get wrong? Because he was embarrassed, because he's all about the numbers. So look at this, he says. Just 222 COVID deaths reported in the United States yesterday, which is the fewest since March 23rd, 2020. Click on the image, not on the link, just on the image, just to blow it up a bit. Yeah, so it spiked in April 2020, then it came down, and then we had the spike in January, and now it's the lowest in a year, in more than a year. It's just that low. And we also know one more thing. We know that they were overwhelmingly seniors. And I'm not happy about that because seniors are people and everyone should live a long and healthy and happy life. But alas, people get sick of things and sometimes die. And we wouldn't want that on anyone. But if you had to choose in some horrific, prisoner's dilemma, or maybe that's the wrong game theory choice. Is it better for someone to die when they're 1 year old or when they're 82 years old? What's the obvious answer? Well, we don't want either of them to die. But if you've had 82 happy, healthy years of life and you die at age 82, which, by the way, is the average age of the deceased in Canada, that's a lot better than dying in your first year of life. We don't want anyone to die, but now we know what we didn't know a year ago, that it's old people who have underlying serious illnesses that are at risk. So I think people know that now. I think young people know that. Teenagers, 20-somethings, 30-somethings know that now. So they're not terrified. I mean, some people are. Some people love being scared. Some people find a security in being scared. They say, okay, I'm scared of this. If I just obey my prison warden, I'll be safe. I'm scared, he'll protect me. I'm scared of the virus. Dina Hinshaw, Bonnie Henry, Theresa Tam, Patty Haidu will protect me. I think you've got to be pretty deluded to think that those politicians will protect you, but I understand the psychology. White Wolf donated $4 through Super Chat, thank you. Alex David Duke donated $5 through Super Chat. Did exactly what you showed, but Streamlabs say invalid username. Do I need to register somewhere at Streamlabs before this works? Justin says you shouldn't have to. Justin says he hasn't seen that error message, so he'll look into it. Alex, we'll take care of you. And Justin, make sure to send a note to Eitan, who knows Alex, and we can sort him out. Oh, you already did. Okay, thank you. Kane Enmark, $5. I'm not buying China virus variants. How are different than the original virus? What do they mean when they say it's more contagious than the original virus? How do they know? Oh, it's, you know what? Oh, and now I read today, we've got the double mutant, and we've got the Brazilian virus, and the South African virus, and the UK. You know what? All viruses mutate. We have a different flu virus every year. It is just spin. It's the public health industry wanting to keep a good thing going. Carl donated $10. New Brunswick truckers blocking the highway today, protesting mandatory testing, vaccines, and quarantine rules. That is extremely interesting to me. And I had not heard about that. That is very, very interesting to me. And I'm going to look into it, Carl, so thank you for the tip. Well, my friends, it's 12:59, and I've gone through the vids I had here. I'm going to go on a deeper dive into Arthur Pawlowski, including the police's disingenuous reply. They doxed him. That was their reply. I'm going to go through that on my show tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not a subscriber, please consider it. Go to rebelnews.com and click subscribe. It's only $8 a month. And it really helps keep the lights on here because it's an important source of income for us. And it's a more produced show. It's less, stream of consciousness than this one. And Sheila Gunn-Reid has a weekly show, and David Menzies has a weekly show, and Andrew Chapados. My show's every night. So I'm going to work on that, but I'll say goodbye to you now. Oh, last one from Fraser McBurney. Over the past weekend, I noticed this news story. The commie NDP are debating that Canada should disband the Canadian Armed Forces. Only the loony left could come up with an idea like that. You know what, you're right. The NDP came up with the craziest policies for their convention. And normally that would be fun to talk about, but I just think everyone knows that if anyone's going to do worse than Erin O'Toole in the upcoming election, it's going to be Jagmeet Singh and his NDP, who are just going to be crushed. So yes, it is kooky and it is worth remembering where they want to take us. It's also true that what the NDP says today, the Liberals will probably say in 5 years. So it's an early warning on the craziness we're after. But we are in a crisis of civil liberties and fake public health scaremongering in the pandemic. So I just heard from Justin that your username for the Streamlabs chat has to be one word. It could be whatever you want, but it has to be one word. Alex, maybe that's the problem you were having, that I think you can't have a space in it. That's just what Justin said. That might be the answer there. All right, folks, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate the super chatters and the Streamlabers. And one more, were you gonna send it on the WhatsApp to me, or is it on? Here we go. McNeil donated $10, drove 1,300 kilometers to pick up my friend who walked across the Coots border in Canada. He walked across, and as long as he had someone to drive him to his home, it was okay, as long as he didn't fly before getting to the border. Go figure. I've heard crazy stories like that. The virus apparently knows that if you're flying, you need to go to a hotel quarantine, but you're walking, you don't. It's so crazy. And one of our lawyers says, Ezra, that's the point, is to make it so crazy, so absurd, so Kafkaesque, so punitive, so abusive, so unfair, so uncomfortable that people simply stop traveling. And I thought, you know what, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Alex David Duke donated $5 through Super Chat. Nate Silver is no longer reliable whatsoever. Now a leftist hack. Richard Barris, a People's Pundit, is reliable. Yeah, I wasn't referring to his politics. I was just saying, hey, this guy's a Democrat, and look at him point out lowest COVID deaths in America in a year. All right, my friends, thanks for your support. Until next time. Until tonight, on behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, to you at home, goodbye. And keep fighting for freedom. Oh, whoa, we got a dog video. Take a look at this.
I don't think you're going to win. Are you kidding us? I hope it rips it off real This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Look at Walter's jump. This is my ideal dog relationship, though. Walter, watch out!